It's the freedom to do whatever you want to do without obligations. It is the realization that you shouldn't, and it's not good to control anybody. It's just savoring life. There's a life arc, and I put together, this book is a 600-page book, and in that book I show a life arc, and I track through what are the various phases of life, and what is the happiest phase, what is the least happy phase, and how does it work. The nutshell version is, it's a really enjoyable phase in life. You start to experience responsibilities like junior year. Okay, do I get into the school I want to get into or whatever? That's quite common. College is great, it's exploratory. Come out of college, there's the most amount of freedom you have. So that transition, end school, come into now the new phase of life, is totally different than the first phase of life, because what it means is you don't follow any track. All through there you are following track in the direction of others, and now you can live anywhere you want, you can pick any job you want, you can do anything you want, you have total freedom, there's no guide, you can do anything you want, you have that freedom. And you move forward with that, and then you start to make decisions, and you start to take on obligations. You might get married, you might have kids, you have jobs, and you take on that. And the least happy period in life by surveys of happiness is 45 to 55, because then you have the work-life balance and the obligations and too many things to do, and then maybe it's not as idyllic as you want. You get into the marriage and whatever it is, and then maybe it's not the marriage that you expected or the things that you're having, and all of those things. That's a difficult phase of life, that middle part of that phase in life, 45 to 55 and so on. And then people transition. It's interesting and opposite than what I would have expected, that the happiest phase in life is between 60 and 80. The funny thing about it, which is really funny, they ask people, how good do you look? And they rate it the highest at that age. Now that's not true, right? But what happens is people at that point feel more comfortable with themselves in various ways. When you make that transition, you're eliminating all of those obligations. You're eliminating all of those things. You're giving yourself free. I don't have to take care of it. I savor. My family's well without me, or whatever it is. I've got the free time. I could do whatever I want to do. That doesn't mean life isn't exciting. I find life very exciting. I'm very vital. I like those types of things, but totally free of choice. And you also savor the life arc, even as people approach their death. They approach the death in a whole different way than what death seems to be for people in their early years, right? Oh, you're a terrible, terrible thing. No, it's just part of that particular process. And how do you do that life arc? And the curtain goes down, and that is a different phase in life. So, my responsibility now is to pass along what I'm doing. Like, right, I got plenty of money, so I'm not working for money. I'm giving away plenty of money because it helps and whatever. And I'm just passing along. I'll have that life arc, and then I'm going to go quiet, and I savor life. And I love nature. So I go outside in nature. Okay, that has a big effect on me. I love it. So that's what the third phase of my life looks like. What I did in the book, which would be fun for people to do, is I show all the different markers in all the different phases and little boxes next to them. And so what they can do is they can check where they are. They know exactly where they are. And then also by showing that, I'm showing them what they can expect. Because if you're here on that arc, you can expect these things probably as you're going check, check, check. Those are the things. Now you can start to imagine, where do I want to be in 10 years? And also, where are the people I love, who I care about, or what are their relationships? Where will they be? Where will my children be in 10 years? And what will they go through? Or what will my parents, where will they be in 10 years? And how will that relate to how I want to have my life go? Because, and it's the same thing. You'll see, the same things happen over and over again. All these lives are basically kind of the same things. And when you put that in perspective and you step back and you look at it, it's really great. Realizing how it works is so great, because like the thing you love at 10 is different than the thing you love at 20 or 30. We all can think, what is the thing you loved at 20 or 30? Woo, that was fun. And then you go to 40 and you go to 50 and they change. And to realize how they will change and you move beyond, it's beautiful and it's helpful. The most important thing, I think, is to know your nature. What is your nature? What are your strengths and weaknesses and your likes and your dislikes? And once you know that, then you also think, what are the fits? Oh, I would like that job, and the job could pay me well. And then you figure out, okay, how do you do it? How do I get to it? Yes, it's the looping and learning from mistakes, but another part of it is the realization that you don't have to make your decisions in your own head, okay? That when you start to realize that you know what you're good at and what you're bad at, that a power comes to you when you start to know, okay, who's the best person to give me the advice, or who's the best person to lead me through this, or when you start to know that you can go beyond what you think and your opinionatedness so that you can triangulate. I call it triangulate with others, so that you find 3 people who are really capable of giving you good advice, who will argue with each other and argue with you so you can see all sides of it and you work yourself through. So it's not just your eyes looking for the path, but it's other people's eyes looking with the path with you, knowing that you're going to have successes and failures. But that power of that collective learning and triangulate well with humbleness is a great power as you go through that cycle. Once you have a fear that you might be wrong, but you have still the audaciousness and courage to go forward, you're a lot smarter than the person who thinks they know. There's a quote, "He who knows he knows not is closer to the truth than he whose mind is filled with falsehoods." And so when you know that, and then with your character and your determination, you go forward. The smartest people I know are the most humble. The more you learn, the more you realize, oh, I'm eager to take in. So that's right. Sometimes we acquire these needs that aren't anywhere near as big as we make them out to be. Do you have a bed to sleep in? Do you have food to eat? Do you have basic health care? Okay, if you start to think, okay, what are my needs that I really need and I'm okay? And how can I make provisions for those needs? Then once you've got that in your mind, you're free. You can go beyond that. You may say, listen, oh, I can do that for a year or 2 years or a month or whatever. But I think we visualize too much the things that we're used to. One of the good things about this exercise is that it brings you back to basics. You can be brought to basics. And like I'm saying, if you have a bed to sleep in and you've got food and so on, and you have those basics and good relationships with people who care about you and basic health care. So if you budget for that and you figure how do you have it, maybe it isn't in the luxurious place you're in. Maybe it's in the country and so on. Once you visualize that and you get that down in your head and you say, oh, I can get that, then your stress will disappear, because as you visualize that, in many ways, that's a happy life. It doesn't take a lot. There's stimulation, there's nature, there's relationships. These fundamental, wonderful things, the most important things, can be obtained. And so for many of you, I think if you look at that and you budget for that, I'm seeing a number of people who are going broke. And I've watched this over many years. And really, it's just the adjustment process. Once they get to that point where, they get settled, they're fine. It's the ambiguity, it's the worry, it's the stress. So if you do that from the beginning and you have that played out in your head, then you know everything from there you can play with, and it's icing on the cake. So I want to emphasize, you can budget for that, you can look at that, find that scenario, find what that looks like so that you know you've got it down. Then you know you're safe. Once you've got safe, Everything beyond that is luxury.